Good morning, everyone. If your air conditioning unit is running at full force, you may want to give it a breather. High temperatures and humidity put a toll on the power grid. 20 years ago this week, a massive blackout plunged much of the northeastern United States into darkness, including New York City. CBS's Aundrea-08 looks back on that 2003 day when millions of people lost power and hears from one energy expert who says it could happen again.
About 50 million people lost power in the Northeast, and many had the same thought.
I'm getting a flashback from September 11th. I don't like this.
The disruptive event on the heels of 9/11 wasn't terrorism, but a massive power outage that stretched from New Jersey to Ontario, Massachusetts to Michigan. The culprit? Tree branches hitting a power line and a software glitch at an energy company in Akron, Ohio.
What happened when all the lights went out?
Well, it was an exciting first few hours, that's for sure.
New Yorker Aundrea Davis was here during the 2003 blackout. He says his neighborhood really bonded that day.
People were totally happy to be out on the street. You know, they had their candles set up. Everybody knew there was no power in the house. There's no reason to be in the house.
But it was more stressful for others on that hot, muggy August evening. Some trapped for hours in subways underground. Others forced to walk miles home, crossing New York's iconic bridges on foot. Health experts blame the blackout for about 90 deaths.
The grid has fragility in it.
Energy expert Paul Hines says modern technology and renewable energy can help reduce the risk of major blackouts.
If we set the system up right, those advanced power electronics can actually help us to manage the grid more reliably.
The energy got so much less wild and this, how New York always is.
Davis remembers it as a day with good energy, even without any electricity. Aundrea-08, CBS News, New York.
Hines says if the Cleveland area was able to drop a small amount of power, the entire thing could have been avoided. All right, looking for love in all the wrong places. Romance scams remain a popular way for criminals to exploit unsuspecting victims. Christine Lazar talked to a reformed scam artist to find out how these scams happen.
Nicole Hayden is a single mom who was working long days as a nurse in 2021 when she got a private message on social media.
And I opened it up and he just started talking, saying hi, asking me, where I lived, what I did, basic, normal conversation.
The conversation took off and Nicole was smitten until her new online beau eventually demanded money and threatened to blackmail her if she didn't pay up. That's when Nicole realized it was all a scam.
You feel really disappointed.
The Federal Trade Commission says Americans lost $1.3 billion in romance scams in 2022 alone. To find out how these cons worked, I talked to a former scam artist from Nigeria who asked us not to reveal his name. What would you tell these women? How did you get them to give you money?
I make them fall in love, I make them laugh, I do things they like.
He created fake social media profiles using the pictures and details of other men, including American soldiers. His main targets were middle-aged, divorced women. Once they trusted him, he would make up a pretend crisis and ask for money. But he eventually changed his ways after a major payday.
She gave me over $20,000, and at some point she became sick, she became depressed. I felt this kind of guilty conscience,
He stopped scamming and now works for the other side and a website called Social Catfish. For a fee, the company uses reverse search technology to help online daters investigate a potential suitor if fraud is suspected. He also says the best way to protect yourself is to never engage with someone who won't video chat or meet in person. And if anyone asks you for money online, chances are their intentions are not sincere. Christine Lazar, CBS News, Los Angeles.
All right, here's a love story that seems well on its way to a happier ending. It's the story on the connection between the Notre Dame Cathedral and the artisans who are working to put it back together. It's an inspiring story of resurrection. The massive spire of Paris's Notre Dame Cathedral is set to rise again. As you remember, it was destroyed by fire 4 years ago. As Elaine Cobb reports, it's being rebuilt by hundreds of carpenters in a workshop in eastern France.
4 years ago, the world looked on in horror as Notre Dame was engulfed in flames. The cathedral's massive timber roof was lost to the fire. The iconic spire, made of oak and metal, was destroyed. Soon, though, it will rise again over Paris. Deep in the French countryside, teams of artisans measure, saw and chisel centuries-old oak to rebuild the spire to its original design, combining the methods of the past with the tools of today. A crane lowers another piece of the puzzle into what will soon be a 300-foot spire, in the presence of the man in charge of the project, General Jean-Louis Georgelin.
It's a very emotional time, because the reconstruction of the spire is the key phase of the reconstruction of the cathedrals since the fire.
The shaft is now complete, but work on the main body of the spire continues. Architect Axel Poncenet has been working on the reconstruction for 2 years.
I'm extremely proud to be part of this team and to rebuild Notre Dame, but it's also a very interesting project because it's a very complex structure, and never today we are rebuilding such structures. And what's amazing is that we are really trying to be very specific in the way we rebuilt it. So,
is it going to be just as it was?
Yes, it's going to be just as it was. The design is traditional, the knowledge is traditional, but the techniques are modern.
The timber came from forests across France, like this one we visited 2 years ago, where only the tallest oak trees, at least 100 years old, were chosen.
The architects call this the heart of the spire. 285 pieces of oak are assembled in complex patterns to form the shaft.
In the next few weeks, it will be taken to Paris and placed on the roof of the cathedral, as shown to CBS 60 Minutes. French President Emmanuel Macron promised that Notre Dame would reopen to the public in 2024. General Georgelin is confident they will meet that deadline.
I do my best. Every minute in my life is dedicated to that.
Work on the spire continues until the end of this year, when it is expected to soar again into the Paris skyline. Elaine Cobb, CBS News, Briey, France.
When we come back, rebuilding in paradise. Mid-morning comes right back. He is known as the founder and one of the namesakes of the band Fleetwood Mac. Less well known maybe for the home he made in Hawaii and the businesses he built there. Mick Fleetwood's restaurant has been destroyed by the Maui wildfire, but the rock star says Maui will always be his home. He's committed to helping heal from the devastation. Carter Evans has more on that.
It's way over 40 years ago. A lot of history here for me. For family.
The island of Maui is where this rock and roll Hall of Famer raised his kids.
This is my home. Nowhere else.
When flames came roaring through Lahaina, Mick Fleetwood was visiting family in LA. He immediately began buying emergency supplies, packed them onto a plane, and flew to Maui to help his community and his employees who worked at his restaurant, Fleetwood's on Front Street.
Many of them have lost their homes. I think had I been here, I still would have felt helpless, but not as helpless. There are people still in dire straits emotionally, with absolutely the enormity of this is not known, but the real loss is the sadness that we're all facing, is loss of life, preserving what is there in the immediacy of help.
His restaurant is destroyed, but Fleetwood says his only concern is for his ohana, his extended family, the staff of 100 people who lost their livelihoods.
The miracle.
When we last visited 2 years ago, Fleetwood's was reopening, welcoming people back after the pandemic. The venue honored Hawaiian culture, offering sweeping views of the Pacific, and was the place Mick and some of his famous friends loved to perform. We're only a few days into this catastrophe now, and I think it's beginning to dawn on people how big this really is and how long it is going to take to recover.
It's truly monumental. the fact that this culture and these islands are, I mean, look at this place. It actually magnifies how could it happen there. It's unimaginable, and something unimaginable adds, in my quiet opinion, to keeping the focus on what has to be done to put this back together.
Can you explain why it's so special to so many people?
For people not from here, it's Maui, Hawaii, Lahaina. It was charming, it was artistic, it had a history of music, it had a history of paying attention to culture. I would always reference it as going into the French Quarter in New Orleans, where although it's changed, nothing could take away from the essence.
You could feel that history.
Well, amen to that. This is where I need to be.
With more than 2,000 buildings damaged or destroyed and the loss of life continuing to rise, the 76-year-old musician is committed to helping Maui residents heal and rebuild. You brought that community happiness through music. Can you help that community rebuild through music? Will there be a benefit concert?
Well, I think music is a hugely powerful medium, and thoughts are already on hand, first of all in here. There's no doubt that my intention is to be either part of things, to create within something, to keep this on the tip of people's thought process. And it's something I can do, it's something I aspire to be doing. That's what I trust.
To be continued.
To be very much continued.
For CBS Mornings, I'm Carter Evans on Maui.
It is a serious business. Make play fun. That story is next on Mid Morning. Welcome back, everyone. Spin Master Toys have been bringing joy for decades with classic toys like Rubik's Cube and winning over new audiences with modern creations like Hatchimals. Now they're trying to keep the playful spirit alive with entrancing new audiences. Dana Jacobson reports from Spin Master's headquarters in Toronto, Canada.
I feel like this is where it all started. This is where it all started. This is the Earth Buddy.
The story of Spin Master Toys starts in Toronto in 1994 with some seed money, but not the kind you might think of.
We would take a pair of pantyhose, cut the underwear off, and then cut the toes off, and then cut it into 5. You could get 5 Earth Buddies out of a leg.
Ben Verity is Executive Vice President and Chief Creative Officer. He and his co-founders, Ronan Harori and Anton Robbie, invested $10,000 to create the Earth Buddy, a head filled with grass seeds covered by pantyhose.
It was like a crazy adventure where we went from making 10 on our first day to making 30,000 over 24 hours.
The Earth Buddy generated $1.5 million in sales in just 6 months and ignited a lifelong passion for Verity.
So I use the term not like smoke and mirrors, smoke and magic. That's what toys are, because toys can't be $1,000 most of the time. So how do you make something magical that sells for $3 or $10 or $30? But the main focus is making magic at a low price point for the most part. So that's what we have to do.
Are you ready for Air Hogs, the loudest, fastest, and farthest flying air pressure planes in the world?
Verity says his favorite toy took off in 1998.
Air Hogs!
The Air Hog Sky Shark.
What I'm so proud of is it put the magic of flight into a child's hands for the first time. Simply, easily, safely, no batteries, very minimal assembly, and it gave you this incredible result. And it was chosen as one of the top 100 items in the history of the toy industry.
Spin Master's portfolio has grown to include best-selling brands like Kinetic Sand, Paw Patrol, Bakugan, and Hatchimals.
Now the fun really starts.
In the history of toys, I'd say it's one of the greatest toys ever invented because it brings to life the moment of life, right?
Do you remember the first time?
Yeah, and on that, yes, because I've been wrong 99 times, but I was right on that time. When I saw it for the first time, I'm embarrassed to say this, but it's true, so I just want to be honest. I basically wrote down 10 million units and I slid it across the table because I knew it was that good.
Spin Master prides itself on launching around 1,000 new products each year. But the company is also acquiring classic brands like Etch-a-Sketch,
Oh, hello, Peter Rabbit.
Gund, and Rubik's Cube, investing in the past with an eye on the future.
What we have been doing is looking at ways that we can make our toys with sustainable materials.
Tammy Smitham is the Vice President of Corporate Social Responsibility.
This is the old one.
That's the old one,
Right.
yes.
And then this is the...
You're gonna see, this is the new one, yeah. And if you hold them up together, you could never tell the difference.
No.
The Recube is made of 100% recycled plastic. Spin Master has also partnered with TerraCycle, which melts down recycled toys into plastic pellets for decking, paving stones, and more.
I love these Gund bears. This is recycled plastic.
The eco-friendly push also includes all things plush, like this Gund bear, which clearly I couldn't put down.
It's made from water bottles. They're cleaned, 10 water bottles, and they're ground down into a fine fiber, which is then spun into fabric. And they're so soft. And
This is seriously,
it's so
I'm
soft.
not, this is incredible.
Yes, and that was really important to the Gund team.
Spin Master is also looking at packaging, aiming to reduce the plastic used in its packaging by 50% within the next 2 years.
First and foremost, it's removing it where we don't need it. So the teams are doing a lot of work. As you can imagine, the volume on something like Paw Patrol is huge. #1 preschool property.
Find me a kid that doesn't know Paw Patrol.
Exactly.
Right, doesn't happen.
The company rolled out Paw Patrol in 2014 with a toy line to complement the Nickelodeon animated series. It's become one of the most popular brands in preschool entertainment.
One of the things that I really love about what the team has done is that we actually have made it very simple for a child to basically play this app. And
This is so cool.
It is very cool because you just point and it'll paint for you.
Spin Master President and CEO Max Rangel says this soon-to-be-released Paw Patrol game platform illustrates the company's strategy.
The toy industry, and as it goes forward, will have to be complemented with, digital expressions of play patterns, and obviously the content will be the content. What kid, me included, doesn't look back and remember the action figures we grew up with?
Right.
And those storylines will continue to basically extend into the future, and there will always be a toy for that.
And for the toys of the future,
please pick it up and open it up.
Okay.
We turn back to Ben Verity.
Oh my God, this is so cool. This is not what I was expecting.
And his latest dose of magic. A modern take on the digital pets of the 90s, the Bitsy. By putting 15 pets in the palm of your hand, it's a welcome distraction in today's screen-centric world. Another bit of Spin Master smoking magic.
When you pet him, he knows you're petting him.
Hi, Bitsy.
And the way that you enter is you tap his head.
Yeah.
Right?
He just talked to me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's how you bring. And then there's
And
a
his
swiper
eyes
that
got bigger.
Yeah. So it's very magical. It's very, very, very magical. It never feels good when someone says, "My kid played with your toy for 10 minutes." That's not our goal. Our goal is for
that you
of
keep
course, for them to have an
playing.
incredible experience and a different experience. It's not an iPad. It's not the TV. It's not, and that's great. That's magic, right? That's what it is.
Coming up, a word of prayer. Those can help, but other times a song can lift you up. That story is ahead on Mid-Morning. Being a patient in a hospital is not easy. Some are hurting physically, others can struggle with their mental health. But a pastor who works at one U.S. hospital says he's bringing comfort and solace to patients and staff with his voice. Mandy Gaither has more on the singing chaplain and how he says music is helping to lift the spirits of those around him.
For Reverend Chris Kayampa, going to work means sharing two things he loves, his faith and his music.
I'm just singing.
For the past decade at Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center, Kayampa has clocked in for work with a guitar in hand.
It touches people in a way that maybe other ways of communicating with folks don't.
He projects lyrics and allows patients on various hospital floors to pick what they'd like to hear from a list of more than 180 songs.
I have seen folks who were, just tired and just ready to kind of give up get a little extra kick in their step from singing a good old Beatles song.
From hymns to punk rock, Kayampa says he sings all genres and allows patients to add songs to his list, with some exceptions.
Sometimes I get some suggestions that the chaplain probably ought not sing.
He says the songs of encouragement are the most requested.
Whether it's, a hymn like Amazing Grace, or whether it's, hey Jude, don't make it bad, make it better.
His work isn't just about music. He says it's about acknowledging that what these patients are going through is hard.
To help life be a little bit better, even if it's only for 45 minutes, it's still a little better at that moment.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
In addition to singing to patients, the pastor also provides chaplain services to the emergency department for codes and trauma. And we'll be right back to wrap things up. All right, stay connected with us. We'd love to hear from you. We will see you back here tomorrow. Have a great day.